Hey YouTube, how you doing? Biggie here, how's everything? And welcome to another movie review. Today's movie review, I'm going to be reviewing, if you remember, I reviewed the hit 1987 action-packed film Lethal Weapon and its sequel from 1989, Lethal Weapon 2. Today I'm going to be reviewing another sequel to it. It's called Lethal Weapon 3. Yep, Lethal Weapon 3 was released in the in the spring of 1992, and it's directed by, we all know, Richard Donner, and most of the cast of the previous Lethal Weapons come back as well, like Mel Gibson as Martin Riggs, Danny Glover's Roger Murtaugh, the two LAPD detectives, and their sidekick, Leo Getz, played by Joe Pesci. He has blonde hair in this as well. He kind of reminded me of Wesley Snipes in Demolition Man, yeah. And we all know Joe Pesci's the pain in the butt sidekick, yeah. And Darlene Love comes back as Trish Murtaugh, Roger's wife, and Traci Wolfe as Rhiannon, Damon Hines as Nick, and Ebonie Smith as Carrie, Roger and Trish's kids. And Steve Kahan comes back as Lieutenant Ed Murphy, and Ellen Trainor, who plays the police psychiatrist Stephanie Woods, returns in this film as well. And also this film makes the debut of Sergeant Lorna Cole, played by Rene Russo, that eventually Riggs falls in love with, and they start eventually getting to know each other and see each other, and also has actor Stuart Wilson in it as former LAPD detective lieutenant turned ruthless arms dealer named Jack Travis, and all the actors did a pretty good job in this. Not as good as the first two, but I still think it's a pretty decent sequel. Yeah. The plot of this film, we all know the two LAPD detectives, Riggs and Murtaugh, are back for the third time, and they're ripping into a vicious crime ring dealing with guns and other dangerous stuffs on the street, and Murtaugh is days away from retiring from the LAPD police force, and he and his partner Martin Riggs, they roped into an important internal affairs case, and that's when they had help with the new sergeant, Lorna Cole, played by Rene Russo, and she was a no-nonsense at all, and eventually Riggs ends up getting to know her and fall in love with her, and they were aided by their friend Leo Getz, who we all know is played by Joe Pesci. He's a real estate agent in this film, and in this film he has blonde hair, like I mentioned. It kind of reminded me of Wesley Snipes in Demolition Man. Anyway, back to the movie. Yeah, Joe Pesci ends up helping Riggs and Murtaugh and Cole tracking down bad guys on a black market weapon operation involving a corrupt cop. We all know, the arms dealer Jack Travis, played by Stuart Wilson. He had a bunch of other crew members that were all ex-cons, and they worked for a construction company called Mesa Verde Construction. They stole weapons and other things, and Riggs and Murtaugh eventually solved the case in the end, and Travis was defeated in one of the Mesa Verde construction projects that ended up getting burnt down and everything. And when I mentioned Murtaugh was calling it retirement, and him and the family were about ready to sell their house, and it was part of Leo Getz's realty in the end of the movie, Murtaugh decides not to sell the house and decides not to retire, so him and his family were going to stay in the house, and Murtaugh was going to stay on the force, and the house was off the market, and they decided to stay in the house for another 10 years. He was going to stay on the force, and they were going to live in that house for another 10 years. Yeah, and Murtaugh was still having a lot of trouble in this movie. He had a lot of issues and everything, which I'm not really going to discuss. We all know what happened. His son's character friend in the movie was shot and everything and killed, and I'm not going to get in much inclusion with this. I just don't like talking about that kind of stuff, especially on the internet. But yeah, I really enjoy this film. Not as much as the other two Lethal Weapon films, but I still enjoy it. This movie I pretty much enjoy. it. It's a good movie. It's not boring at all. I do gotta give this film 5 out of 5 stars. I still recommend it. a lot. It ain't as good as the first two Lethal Weapon films, but it's still a decent film and a classic as well. And all the actors did a pretty decent job, and Richard Donner did a very good job directing, like always. He did the other Lethal Weapon movies as well, and I still strongly recommend this film too. If you've never seen Lethal Weapon 3 or any of the other Lethal Weapon films, I recommend you check them out today. And they said the best weapon yet, a big winner, says Pat Collins of WWOR TV, and it's a go figure, yeah. It has a 60% on Rotten Tomatoes, 40% on Metacritic, a 6.7 out of a 10 on IMDb, and 89% of Google users like this. And this had a $35 million budget, and it scored $321.7 million at the box office. So, but like I said, I still recommend this film. I didn't watch this much as the other two films. I didn't even watch the fourth one as much as I did the other two Lethal Weapons. So, but I still recommend it. Yeah. All right, YouTube. Nice seeing you. Take it easy. Be safe and stay out of trouble. Peace.